If you or someone you know is a victim of human trafficking, call the National Human Trafficking Hotline at 1-888-373-7888.
Hello and welcome to episode 17 of the Kansas Missing and Unsolved podcast. I'm your host, Ricky Chabruggi, and back with us this week, our co-host, Ashley Dove. How are you doing tonight, Ashley?
Hey, I'm great. How are you?
Not doing too bad. Survived another storm last night.
Yes. Yep. So did I. So some great news that happened last week on the 16th. We have actually 3 kiddos that were located safe, and we always love to talk about success stories. So on the 16th, Elizabeth and Jackson, help me pronounce their last name because I always botch it.
Ungaroo.
Thank you. They were located safe. And the next day on the 17th, little Baylor Donald was located safe. They were all 3 missing. They were not located together, but they were on the same flyer because they were believed to have been together at some point in time. So on the 16th, early morning on the 16th, we received several anonymous messages giving us lots of different information and good information about where these 2 kiddos, Elizabeth and Jackson, siblings, could possibly be. So I was passing that information along to Topeka, Ellie, and spoke with them many times during the day, checked back. Dispatch was great. I worked with one person. Her name is Sequoia with Topeka PD. She is fabulous to work with and took everything very serious, which I was very grateful for. That evening, I kept checking back in with the police officer that was on duty and in office only. And him and I did have a few words because I felt like he wasn't taking me serious on where these 2 kiddos were located. So the next morning, the kiddos were located safe. And that was such a great success story. You know, we don't get those very often at all. And just happy to report that, everyone worked really well together and it was great. So very happy that they are back. I'm not sure where they went to. I know that they were in custody of the state of Kansas. So DCF has custody of Elizabeth and Jackson.
Okay.
I did hear, not sure, this is not confirmed, but I did hear that they possibly were going to be able to go live with their grandfather. And I heard that Grandpa was pretty excited about that, and they were too. So if that's true, then, hopefully that's nothing but a great situation for them. But we're just grateful that they were safe and sound. I know that their lives had been threatened by their father who had them during the time that they were missing. So just very grateful that they were found safe and sound.
Yeah, definitely. It's always great when they're found safe.
It is. And it's so nice when people work as a great team together to, there's just so much hate and whatnot going on in the world right now. And it's nice when people can just all work together as a great team and have such a positive result. So that was great.
Definitely.
Yep. So that's a great success story.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Okay. Are we ready to cover some cases?
We are.
Okay. For our first case tonight, we're going to travel outside of Kansas to Nebraska. Tonight's case is Chance Leslie Engelbert. He is missing from Gering, Nebraska since July 6, 2019. At the time of his disappearance, he was 25 years old. He would now be 26. He is 5 foot 10 inches tall, 195 pounds. He has brown hair and hazel eyes. Chance left following an argument with his family. He walked away from the residence, told his family and friends he was walking to Tarrington, Wyoming. Chance is seen on video surveillance walking. His last cell phone use was during a severe thunderstorm with torrential rain somewhere in the vicinity of Terrytown, Nebraska, or Scottsbluff, Nebraska. Chance was last known to be wearing a short-sleeved Wrangler shirt, Wrangler jeans, Roper boots, and a black and white trucker baseball-style hat You can see it kind of up there in the one photo there. Now, again, he is 26 years old. He is 5'10" tall. He weighs 195 pounds. He has brown hair and hazel eyes. If you have any information regarding Chance's disappearance or you know of his whereabouts, please call the Gering, Nebraska Police Department at 308-436-5088 or the Scottsbluff, Nebraska Police Department at 308-630-6281.
All right. And our next case is Kendra Lee Nystrom and her dog Frankie. Kendra went missing from Mays, Kansas on May 4th of 2017. Kendra's age at time of disappearance was 30. Kendra would now be 32 years old. Kendra is 5'4", weighs approximately 120 pounds, has reddish brown hair and hazel eyes. Kendra was last seen at her parents' home in the 1200 block of West 29th Street North in Mays and has not been heard from since. She was on foot at the time and had her dog, black and gray male Chihuahua named Frankie, with her. She left her personal belongings, her car, and cell phone behind. Several sightings of Kendra had been reported in the area of South Broadway in Wichita, a Plainview neighborhood in southeast Wichita, and the Oakland community in South Wichita. However, they have not been able to be verified or confirmed. Kendra has the initials RJ tattooed on her left ring finger. If you have any information regarding Kendra's disappearance or you know of her whereabouts, please call the Mays, Kansas Police Department at 316-722-1433. I actually have been covering Kendra's case from the very beginning. Our search group, we searched for Kendra alongside with Mays Police Department, and we did find some skin tissue along with some hair. And in my opinion, no one could have survived that type of injury. However, according to officials, they cannot declare Kendra deceased because, according to officials, a person could still survive that kind of an injury.
Okay, and so our next case is Nancy Miller. She's missing from Wichita, Kansas. It's October 25th of 2019. At the time she went missing, she was 14. She would now be 15. She is 6 foot tall, weighs 150 pounds. She has light brown hair and brown eyes. It's believed that she may still be in the local Wichita area. Nancy has a tattoo on her forearm, her chest, and her left hand. She also has her nose and ears pierced. Again, at the time of her disappearance, she was 14 years old. She would now be 15. She's 6 foot tall, weighs 150 pounds. She has light brown hair and brown eyes. If you have any information regarding Nancy's disappearance or you know of her whereabouts, please call the Wichita, Kansas Police Department at 316-660-9456 or 316-660-9478 or 316-268-4111 or the KBI at 785-296-4017. Dakota Cottrell, he is missing from Kansas City, Kansas. He's been missing since July 11th of this year. He's 13 years old, 5'5", 140 pounds, brown hair and blue eyes. He was last seen in the 4300 block of Brenner Drive in Kansas City. Again, he's 13, 5'5", 140 pounds, brown hair and blue eyes. If you have any information regarding Dakota's disappearance or you know of his whereabouts, please call the Kansas City, Kansas Police Department at 913-596-3000 or the KBI at 785-296-4017.
And moving along to our next case, we have Justice Cottrell.
Yes, that would be Dakota's brother.
And they are believed to be together, isn't that correct?
Yeah, from the information I've been able to get a hold of, yes.
So Justice is 14 years old. Justice is 5'4", weighs approximately 140 pounds. He has brown hair and blue eyes. Justice went missing on July 14th of this year from Saline County. We don't have much information. All we have is what we have or what we were able to find on KBI's website. So that's all the information we have on Justice. Mm-hmm. And, you know, kids, if where you came from, if that's not a good environment or a safe one that you want to go back to, or if you don't feel like it's a healthy one, reach out to us or someone. We don't care who it is. Just reach out and we'll help you in any way we can.
Right.
Just
And this is another one that's a
down.
little confusing, because the information that I got from a family member was that both boys have been located, but yet they're still listed on KBI as missing. So I don't know if there's something going on there or not. So, I mean, we're just wanting to get these guys out there to make sure that they are found and located and back to a safe place.
Right.
The National Runaway Safe Line is here to listen and here to help. Speak to someone specifically trained in crisis prevention who won't tell you what to do. Join a forum where you can post your questions, thoughts, or concerns about what it is like to be a teenager or a parent. If there is something you have been wondering about, please ask, because chances are there are a lot of other people wondering the same thing. Remember, you are not alone. Go online to 1-800-runaway.org or call 1-800-789-2626.
Welcome back to the show. We have Casey Schrog, Alliance police officer, joining us tonight. Casey, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Ashley. Thanks.
Thanks for being here with us. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, Casey, how long have you been a police officer?
I've been in law enforcement almost 19 years.
Okay.
I started my career with the Alliance Police Department in 2002. Worked there roughly from 2002 to 2011, where then Under Sheriff Cody Goforth of the Rice County Sheriff's Office asked if I would come to the Sheriff's Office. They were needing some extra help.
Okay.
So I went out to the Sheriff's Office and I worked there from 2011 until present. I'm still currently on the payroll there. And about a year and a half ago, Justin Holiday, who was the chief of police in Alliance, asked me to come back to help him with a drug problem that was going on in Alliance. So I went back to Alliance and was helping them while still working at the Sheriff's Office a little bit. The drug problem was a little worse than I originally anticipated it being. So I've not had the opportunity to work for the county in some time because it's taken so much of my time working for the Alliance Police Department. But we've made a lot of good strides with Alliance Police Department on the drugs, and had a couple of really good hits, and I'm really close on the third one. So hopefully, we're getting some good results, and we've got a lot of drugs up the street and send some people to jail that need to go to jail.
Excellent.
And what made you want to become a police officer?
I graduated high school a long time ago. We'll just say that. And I joined the Navy and went to the Persian Gulf during the first Gulf War. When I got out, while I was in the Navy, I was a firefighter at the Navy. And when I got out, I wanted to be a firefighter. And when I moved to Lyons, a good friend of mine who works for the police department over there asked me to come on a ride along. And I went on a ride along with him and was hook, line, and sinker. I absolutely loved it. It just was that one way to feel that adrenaline rush to, that everybody seeks, and it's nice to be able to help people. So I got hooked and bugged the then chief of police, Dennis Luck. I bugged him, and I think he finally gave me a job just so I would leave him alone. I've been hooked and been at it ever.
Excellent. And are you originally from Kansas?
I'm from Rice County. Not originally, but I moved to Rice County when I was in the 7th grade. So probably 11 or 12 years old, moved to Rice County. And I've always lived in Kansas other than when I was in the service. I was on the East Coast and West Coast. And then for a short stint in there, when I got out of the service, I lived in Kansas City for about 4 years. And my oldest son then was getting ready to start school and just wasn't comfortable with sending my kids to school in Kansas City and moved back. I graduated high school from Little River, Kansas, and Lyons was 9 miles away. So I knew that the work could be a little bit better and I could go to Lyons, still close to home, where I grew up at, and been in the Rice County area.
Okay. Now, Casey, you know that I have a search group, Missing in Kansas, Megan's Voice.
Yes.
And you and I have discussed a little bit, some of Megan's case, and I think we're going to try to collaborate our brains and whatnot, in the future about some different things with Megan's case, and hopefully, get some answers and whatnot. In your opinion, how can law enforcement and search groups work more efficiently and effectively together?
That's a good question. And that's one that I don't believe there is a definite answer one way or the other.
Right.
In the situation with Megan and Rice County, Rice County law enforcement is a relatively small group with limited resources.
Right.
Anything big like that case, I worked on that case a little bit. We rely very heavily on the KBI, surrounding agencies. Barton County helped us out with that case a lot. We followed up on some tips with Reno County. But there's a lot of you have to work well with other agencies. I believe like yours, with your group, it's been very beneficial because everybody in law enforcement in Rice County knows everybody in law enforcement. So that being said, we also know a lot of people, and a lot of the people don't want to talk to law enforcement, or maybe they might open up and talk to you and your group. And, with that information being said, you can gather that information or something from people and you can pass it on. And then it allows us the opportunity to free up to work on other cases also, while still being able to help out to find, to deal with a case like Megan. It's such a big case. It's such an overwhelming case. You get so much information coming from everywhere.
You do.
That was what I felt like at the beginning of that case. There was so much information coming in, but yet it was all hearsay information.
Right.
So we had to sift through what was true, what was not true, what people are hearing, from their friend or their cousin, sister, brother's best friend told this. And you have to be able to corroborate a lot of that stuff. And where you guys, I think, can do a lot of that legwork and say, listen, we've heard the same story 5 times from 5 different people that don't know each other. So there has to be something in it where it's a very good rumor to get started. Then we're able to go and take off and look at it.
Right. And what I found out a lot, we'll receive, tips and kind of like you said, it's sometimes you just get the same thing over and over and over again, but of course you always go check it out. Where I struggle sometimes is all of these people know each other because they all run in the same world, in the same little or big crowd, if you will.
And
So
that
it
was the
makes it
problem we
kind of
ran
hard.
into, I think, with Megan's case. If anybody is familiar with that case, there's about 6 or 8 people that their names keep coming up, and
They do.
you keep hearing those same names over and over and over again. And it's hard to break into that world. If somebody's done something bad, or they've done some bad things in the past that they don't want to get out right now, they're trying to do better right now. They don't want to. I don't want to say wrong on each other. They don't want to air other people's dirty laundry, and
Right.
so it's law enforcement to break in. Where I think, as a group like yours has a little bit better chance sometimes of those people opening up to them, because they're not so worried about if they say the wrong thing, maybe they're going to jail, or if they say the wrong thing, then law enforcement is just going to hound them all the time. And I wish people wouldn't think like that, but it is reality, and people do think that way.
It is, and it's tough. It's tough to break through that. It's very tough. I mean, on my end, I can't imagine as how it is on your guys' end.
That was, with Megan's case, we received so much information, and for a long time we followed up on every single detail, and then we started realizing, okay, we're getting a lot of really good information here, but some of this stuff is just, there's no way that this could happen like this, So we followed up on all that, and we passed all of our information on to the KBI, which we currently still do. Anytime there's credible information that we feel that is relative to the case, whether it's a minute chance that there might be something there or something really big, we always pass them into the KBI. I just dealt with a KBI agent within the last 6 months on some information about Megan that we passed on, and everything that I told him was information that I thought was very credible and was very new, and he was able to go back to his notes, and within probably 15 minutes was able to pull me back and could give me the names of the people that I was being told was there, where it happened at, what was going on. So it was information that he had already got and they'd already looked into. So it's nice to be able to work with the KBI and those groups, because they have the resources in the database to store all that information.
Yes.
Where when you're talking Rice County, you may have 4 or 5 different officers from 2 or 3 different agencies that are still trying to accomplish the same thing, and we can't share every ounce of information all the time.
Right. Absolutely. Right. And I'll tell you, just while we're still talking about Megan's case, I do appreciate the way the KBI has been with us on Megan's case. They've gone in and told Rice County, literally, let them look through all of Megan's files. I closed my business down for 3 days, sat there all day long for 3 days, and just read and researched and whatnot. And so they've really given us as much full access as they can, of course, if you will. And that
pretty good about that.
Right. And
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. And, in a lot of tips, they've talked to us about, we'll go, search and whatnot. So they've given us, some different locations and whatnot, which makes it really nice, because it's very nice when everyone will work together. We aren't always that fortunate with every town or every county, PD. Right. So, some are more willing than others.
KBI, especially on this case and other cases that I've worked, is they're very helpful at what they do. If you approach the KBI and the fact that this is from a law enforcement standpoint, this is what I have, this is what I'm working on, I just need some help, can you guys help me? They're phenomenal to work with. Like anybody, they don't want you to say, here's what I got, here's the information, have at it. I'm going back over here.
Right. Absolutely.
So I've never had an issue or a problem with KBI. They've been fantastic to work with. And at least in the instance of small county, Rice County, the dealings that I've had with them, they're always more than willing to help out, as long as you're willing to go the extra mile and help them out too. And they've been a great unit.
Absolutely. Yes, I agree. Ricky, did you have any questions you wanted to ask Casey?
Yeah. What do you think are some of the big differences between being a police officer in a smaller community as opposed to a bigger city?
I've been asked that question a bunch, and when my experience with law enforcement is, Lyons, Kansas has, roughly 5,000 people, give or take a little bit here and there. And so that's my experience with big city cops. I've never been a big city cop. What I can tell you from what I see is, I don't know everybody, but I know a lot of the people. And if I don't know them, I know somebody that does know somebody. So it's easier to get information. The community is when you're in Rice County or any smaller rural community, people have a lot of trust and a lot of faith in their law enforcement, and that's good. But they also hold you to a standard that if you make a mistake, they don't let you forget about that mistake for a long, long time.
I'm sure. Sure.
And you're more visible in a small county and a small community because you go to church with those people, you go to the grocery store with those people, you buy your gas at the same places. So if you're out doing something that I would consider hypocritical or doing something that you're not supposed to do in a big town, you could probably get away with that. And that's where we run into problems. In a smaller community, and you're not going to get away with that stuff. And it's good. I like the small community policing, and I like the small community approach, just like I said, because everybody, you may not know everyone, but you know somebody that knows that person. I can promise you that.
Oh yeah.
Kind of keep you around that way.
Yeah, it seems like right now, it seems like right now law enforcement all over the country is just under one big huge microscope. Every little thing that you guys do is scrutinized.
And it is, and to some extent, some of that stuff, in my opinion, some of the stuff may have been warranted, but for the most part, everybody knows that most cops are good people. But they're human at the same time. They make mistakes, but they're there for the right reasons. They wanted to help people. In your smaller communities, you get reminded of that quite a bit because I can arrest you tonight, but I promise you, I'm probably going to see you at the grocery store in a few days, and you're going to remember that. And so am I. And that's the approach I've always taken: is don't take it personal. When I arrest you or something happens, I'm not the judge. I'm not the jury. Don't take it personal and treat those people with respect the way you'd like to be treated. And I've never had a problem. In almost 20 years, 19 years of law enforcement, I've never went into a grocery store or a convenience store or anywhere where I felt uncomfortable and felt like I had to leave because, I wasn't on duty and something bad could happen. I've never had that feeling. So I'm very fortunate to have been a cop in a small community. I enjoy it, and I personally wouldn't have it any other way.
That's great. And I'm glad that you personally have never, felt uncomfortable and whatnot. So that makes me really happy because I know so many law enforcement officers that do, and it's very unfortunate.
Right.
So,
and in your bigger communities, you might see it, but in my time in law enforcement, I've sent plenty of people to prison, and it's never been personal. It's the case that I've worked in, the job that I had to do. And when they've got out, if I see them and they say something to me, I'll talk to them. It was never personal, and I've had a really good luck with that. And like I said, I when it comes to law enforcement in a small community versus a big community, I'll take the small community anytime, just because they truly feel like I can make a difference.
Right. Right. And one thing I want to add before we kind of wrap up here is I know that you and many of the other law enforcement officers for Lyons PD and I think maybe Rice County is included, please correct me if I'm wrong, have really done a great job, especially here lately, on the drug issue in Lyons.
Lyons PD has worked really hard. Justin Holliday is the chief of police over there, and that was his biggest initiative when he was hired was, like any small community in this part of the country, the drugs are there. We know they're there, and it was getting out of hand in Lyons, and he was given a overwhelming task to get this town started back the way that it needs to be. The officers in Lyons are a fantastic group of people.
They are for sure.
A group of people. They didn't have a lot of experience as far as street experience goes in law enforcement. That being said, it's not that they didn't want to work drugs; they just didn't know how. And
sure,
it takes a different, I won't say a different mindset. It's a whole different deal. It takes time. It's a lot of documenting, time, things like that. And Justin asked me to come back to the police department to help him because he was busy trying to mold his younger officers into just being officers, and didn't have the time to deal with it, but knew it was a problem that needed to happen. Myself and another officer deputy by the name of Jeff Link came back to Lyons, and that was our job basically was to help with the drug problem. And while these other officers in town were busy with the day-to-day dog barking calls, your aggravated batteries, any number of calls, they were still helping us with the drug investigation and freed me up to where I didn't have to take those calls. All that Jeff Link and I had to concentrate on drugs. And with the backing of the City of Lyons and Justin Holiday, we've had a lot of success, and it's been really good. But it's something that couldn't have happened without the backing and support of not only the city but of Justin allowing us to. You guys don't take the calls. We got officers that'll take calls. You guys go run. We've had a really good success at that.
Right. Yes. Yeah. That I know Justin, I know all of the officers up there in Lyons. Y'all do a fantastic job. So, I mean, kudos to all of you. We really appreciate all of you guys. And let's talk about your campaign for a minute.
Okay.
You are running for sheriff here in Rice County.
I am running for sheriff of Rice County.
Yep.
It's been a really good time. I've met a lot of really good people in this campaign, and I thought that I knew more people than I did. And I get out there, start talking to people, and they've never heard of you, and so you start telling yourself about them. And I will tell you that if you ever have any aspirations of getting into politics, the two things that I've learned is you better have thick skin, and you better learn how to, or better be able to take criticism, because people will tell you exactly what they think of you, whether they like you or not. They will tell you exactly what they think. And it's been very good. We've had a lot of really good support from the community. We've had a lot of good support from Sterling and the surrounding areas, Lyon, Chase, Geneseo, Little River. It's just been great. Alden, I've talked to some really great people, farmers out in the communities down there. It's been really good. And I've met a lot of people that I've never met before. And, some of them will just flat tell you that they're going to vote for you. And some of them will tell you that they're on the fence. And you have those ones that'll tell you that they're not voting for you. And I respect that. And
sure.
But one thing I would tell everybody is I don't care who you vote for. I would love for you to vote for me. Just go vote. Myself and the other candidate both were in the military, and I'm not speaking for him, but knowing him the way that I do, I'm sure his sentiment would be the same way. Just go vote. That's
sure.
The great thing about this country is it gives you the opportunity where you get to choose who you want to lead you in that fashion, and it's a great thing.
Absolutely. Well, we wish you all of the luck with your campaign, and we thank you so much for being on here and visiting with us. We just really appreciate your time tonight, and also thank you so much for everything you're doing. And we do need to get together soon.
Yeah, just let me know. We'll get together, and anytime you guys need to have somebody on here, give me a holler, and we'll go over any kind of deep or any kind of topic that you think I might really help with.
Okay, that sounds great. Thank you so much for your time. Have a great evening.
You too.
Good luck on your campaign. I'll be keeping my ears open to see how you do.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you for joining us tonight on Kansas Missing and Unsolved. Follow us on Facebook and please help us share our flyers to help families find their loved ones and bring them the closure they so desperately need. Also, please follow my search group page, Missing in Kansas, Megan's Voice.
Check out our parent company, Back Home Media, at backhomemedia.com for entertaining live streams covering a variety of topics and interests. Media that takes you back home. Thanks again for tuning in. See you next week.
Well,
I don't think it, I thought it, that's different. I said what I said and I meant it, or lamented. Words given weight without thought, and I'm cursing the way that I talk and the way that I ought to be able to pause and to say that the fault can be placed on my arms. To this playful assault, to disgrace in this arm. Pray for the day they could wait for the calm. You can't control the storm, only weather it, whether it's 5 weeks and 5 days of rain sideways, or scorched earth, search for death or water left with all the thorns, with the petals